Hello everyone, it's Fred again from Notes of a Nomad, video number 205, and I want to talk today about clutter. Had a few recent discussions. One was my daughter who recently said, "Thanks, Dad." I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, you don't have a lot of stuff, and that makes our life easy when you disappear." Didn't say it that way, but that's what she meant. She had been visiting other people and saw the clutter and thought, my dad's made our life easy. So it wasn't planned. It wasn't something I thought, but it's just circumstances which I can explain a little bit later. But I had a lot of recent discussions. I had a friend that I was talking to who recently retired and he moved to a smaller place. And I said, "Well, how are things going?" And he said, "Oh, he spent a few months and he still hasn't finished. He's busy putting shelves in his garage because he's got more stuff than he can fit in his now smaller house. And even though he gave away a lot, he still has a lot of material that he has to store. So he's been busy working and putting up shelves." Well, I know what'll happen. That stuff in those shelves will stay there and probably never be touched until his demise. So this is what happens. I noticed when I did house sitting, I would often go to people's houses and I'd look at their house, one person perhaps living there, some cases two, and see how much stuff they had. And this was a burden on them. In fact, as you get older, you can't always just cut your lawn or trim the hedge or clean things up. You have to hire people to do this. So your possessions and all of the things you own can become a challenge, particularly as you become older anyway. But your things that you don't own your things, they end up owning you and making you do a lot of things. That's something I've come to a conclusion in my recent years since I've, let's say, got no place to stay, no permanent place. So that's an advantage and disadvantage. Well, I think one of the advantages, I don't have a lot of stuff. I don't have a place to keep it. So when you look at clutter, though, this is big business. The average, according to, I think it's the LA Times recently, a few months ago, said the average American home has 300,000 items. That's an enormous amount. We'd say, wow, is that true? Well, that's what they said. And storage business is a big business. According to stats that I saw, 11% of the average American house has a storage unit, which they pay at least around $100 a month or $1,200 a year to keep things that they probably won't see again or ever use, but they can't get rid of it. It's easier to store it and pay that $1,200. In fact, the storage business recently, I think in 2022, was a $61 billion business, storing people things in another unit, which they probably very seldom go and see. Maybe they say, oh, maybe it's in the storage unit, but it's there. It's never to be seen in many cases. And according to the stats, in 10 years' time, it will not no longer be a $61 billion business. It'll be over a $100 billion business, just storing things. So things in the clutter, it's amazing how it affects us and our lives. So what do we do? Well, the easiest thing is do nothing. Just, keep it. So what we can do is just have rooms or places or garages full of things. So, for example, let's say this is not abnormal in many places. This is a place where things are kept and nobody's probably, well, maybe they are staying in there, but there's just a lot of stuff and a lot of clutter. And all this, there's many books on how to declutter. There's programs, TV programs, all sorts of ideas. That Japanese lady, Maria Kondo, I believe, she had this thing. You pick up something that you have and you say, oh, does this bring me joy? Oh, if it does, keep it. If it doesn't, get rid of it, especially if you haven't used it for the last 90 days or something. That's maybe extreme. But what you do in your decluttering is you decide maybe you have a few boxes. You either keep it or you donate it or give it away or sell it or you throw it away. That's sort of the rule about decluttering. I remember I met a woman, that was her job. You could hire her. She would come in with the three boxes and say, okay, let's fix this. And she would say, do you want this? Keep it, donate it, or give it away, or throw it away. And she would do that for you because this is not an easy job. It can take a lot of effort. I know, in fact, I'm in a position now where I have more than I can keep. I had a few boxes stored in somebody's garage that they moved. So I've got the boxes, they're in my car. In in Canada, when I get back, I have my main job is what am I going to do with the contents of those three boxes? There's mementos and other items that I haven't used for years. So I'm going to have to do something like that. So it's a challenge. I remember here's a picture of a relatively clean desk. But here's a story. When I worked on the gold mines in South Africa, went in the general manager's office on occasions, he had nothing on his desk, absolutely nothing. If there was a piece of paper, if I gave him a report, which sometimes I had to do so, he would look at that and that's fine and give it back to you. And he would use, I guess, the maxim. Does he want to keep it? Well, he wouldn't keep it in his office, nothing in his office, no reports, no binders, nothing. Or he would give it back to me, or he would throw it away. It's finished. There was nothing on his desk. Once I had the opportunity to go in his office, he wasn't there. I thought, well, in his drawers, there might be some papers. Nothing. A few pens, maybe a few blank pieces of paper. That was maybe overdoing it, but that was the way he operated. You handle it as it comes in and do something with it. So that was his rule. I've never seen anyone with such a clean desk. This desk in this picture, that would be too much for him. He wouldn't even have a lamp on his desk if he could avoid it. Maybe he had a standing lamp next to his desk. I don't remember. But that's what happens. You know, everybody treats it differently, but a lot of us find we cannot declutter. It's not an easy job, it's a challenge. But there are benefits, apparently. It helps us with our mental health. You know, less stress, less anxiety. We know where the things we have, where they are. We don't have to spend hours sometimes saying, I've got it, but I can't find it. That can be stressful. Apparently, we get better sleep when we declutter, and we are more productive, and can concentrate better. We can find the things that we have, and the things we don't have, well, they don't clutter our lives or our minds. So there's a lot of positive as well about decluttering. Not easy, but it just reminded me of my recent conversation. So I thought I would share with you. I've been fortunate. I had a lot of items in my life when I left, but I've moved a lot. When I moved, every time I move, I say, well, and you know, if you ever move from one house to another, and you end up finding, oh, I don't have place for all of this stuff. Why am I keeping it? So that's what the discussions recently brought me around the recent discussions that I had about clutter. It's part of our lives, and some of us have more than others. So with that, I'll say adios, au revoir, wishing you, your family, and friends lots of love and laughter, and hopefully not too much clutter. Bye for now from Fred and Notes of a Nomad. Till next time.